In the Upper Peninsula, where the hardwoods give way to cedar swamps and the October wind smells like iron and wet leaves, people still speak of black bears the way sailors once spoke of the sea, with respect, fear, and the quiet understanding that the animal is never truly asleep. Black bears are not grizzlies. They will not charge through a wall for the sake of pride, but they are opportunists, and opportunity in the Upper wilderness often wears the scent of blood. Black bears can weigh 400 pounds in a good massed year, stand 6 feet on their hind legs, and run 35 miles an hour without seeming to try. They remember. A bear that finds an easy meal once will circle back for months, sometimes years, testing fences, knocking over trash cans, learning the rhythm of a place the way a burglar learns a house. Clara Maria learned this too late. She was 27, fresh out of a bad divorce in Ann Arbor, and the deed to her grandfather's hunting cabin outside Curtis had felt like a lifeline. 10 acres of tag elders and pine, a crooked log cabin built in 1948, and a rickety coop that still held the ghost smell of the old man's Rhode Island Reds. Clara restocked in the first week she arrived. 20 pullets and a proud red rooster she named Leonard because he crowed like Sinatra. The first sign was subtle. One October dawn, she found the wire of the coop bowed inward, claw marks bright as silver in the sunrise. No chickens taken, just tested. A single black hair, coarse and glossy, caught on the mesh. She laughed it off, city girl nerves, and reinforced the pen with railroad spikes and a hot wire run off a car battery. That night, she lay awake, listening to the forest breathe. Bears, she read later on a DNR pamphlet left in the outhouse, have a sense of smell 7 times better than a bloodhound and can detect food from 20 miles if the wind is right. Chicken feed, scraps, warm eggs, those smells drift like smoke signals across the ridges. By mid-November, the visits were nightly. She'd hear the heavy huff, huff, huff outside the window, the slow, deliberate crunch of leaves under 500 pounds of deliberate curiosity. She banged pots, fired a shotgun loaded with cracker shells into the dark, even dragged the trash a mile down the logging road. Nothing broke the pattern. The bear was patient. It had all winter. Black bears rarely kill humans in Michigan. The statistics say so, but statistics don't account for habituation. A fed bear is a dead bear, rangers say, because once it loses its fear, it begins to see people the way it sees raccoons, competitors, or worse, prey that screams. Clara bought a .44 Magnum she could barely lift and practiced until her wrist bled. She kept the chickens locked in the cabin at night, their panicked clucks echoing off the log walls while she tried to sleep. On the shortest day of the year, the temperature dropped to -12 and the power lines snapped. The generator coughed and died. Leonard the rooster fell silent. She woke at 3:17 a.m. to a sound she would never forget, the slow, wet splintering of the coop door as something leaned its weight against it, again and again, patient as erosion. Moonlight poured through the window in a white blade. She grabbed the revolver, heart hammering so hard she tasted copper. The bear had torn the entire front wall off the coop. Feathers drifted like snow. Leonard lay in 2 pieces, steaming on the frozen ground. The hens were gone, swallowed whole, or carried off into the dark. And the bear, God, it was bigger than any photo had prepared her for, stood on its hind legs 20 feet from the cabin porch, front paws hanging loose, head swaying side to side as it tasted the air. Clara screamed. She fired twice into the dirt at its feet. Most black bears run from gunfire, but this one did not. It had learned that the loud stick meant the food sometimes dropped what it was holding and ran inside. Inside smelled like more chickens. Inside smelled like warm meat. She slammed the door through the crossbar and back toward the kitchen table, revolver shaking in both hands. The first blow came from the side, not the door, the wall. Logs older than her father cracked like gunshots. A second blow, a third. Splinters the size of railroad ties exploded inward. The bear's head pushed through the breach, shoulders following, black fur silvered with frost, eyes small and calm and yellow. Clara got off one round. The muzzle flash lit the room like lightning. The bullet struck the bear high in the shoulder. She saw fur fly, smelled burnt hair and powder. The bear made a sound, half cough, half roar, and surged forward. People think black bears maul with claws. They don't, not at first. They bite and hold and shake. The bear closed its jaws on her left forearm. She heard the bones snap like green sticks, then flung her sideways into the cast iron wood stove. The revolver spun away across the floorboards. She tried to crawl. Blood poured hot across the pine planks her grandfather had laid by hand. The bear followed, unhurried, huffing through its nose the way a man does when he's found exactly what he came for. Her last clear thought was absurdly practical. She wished she'd scattered the chicken feed farther from the cabin. They found her 2 days later when the country deputy came looking after she missed a scheduled call with her mother. The bear had dragged her body 40 yards into the alders and covered her with leaves and branches the way it would a deer carcass, returning twice to feed. The coop was empty. The cabin walls looked as if a wrecking ball had kissed them. Rangers tracked the bear for a week. It was a boar, 428 pounds, fat with Clara's chickens and, in the end, Clara herself. They shot it on the ice of Manistee Lake, still wearing her wool jacket, tangled in its claws like a trophy. In the spring, someone burned the cabin to the ground. The coop followed. New shoots of fireweed and raspberry already cover the blood-soaked ground. Bears still cross the ridge at night, noses high, following whatever new promise drifts in the wind. They remember.